Yeah, buddy.
You know when I feel not busy, I feel uneasy, and that's today.
What do you mean feeling?
If I don't have heaps of emails, stuff to do, I feel very uneasy.
Because like you still got like have a lot of things planned to do, but there's nothing happening.
Yep. And when I'm like that, I become like a bulldog. Like I'll just call people. I'll just hassle people until it's done.
Get everyone,
riled
on
up.
the nerves and stuff.
Yeah, like I'll call Samil now, the Port Melbourne owner, and be like, "Come on, brother, let's get going."
Yeah.
I am 40 years old.
Yeah.
Live in Brunswick, Victoria. Born and bred Melbourne, raised in country Victoria. One of 3 boys from a Mauritian immigrant family. My parents migrated over here in the 70s. And my dad was very much is it blue collar worker? I think it's called a blue collar worker.
Yeah, blue collar, yeah.
He was a fitter and turner for Dunlop and worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 30 years. So I think that instilled work ethic into our family. So in terms of who I am, I've always been a ridiculously hard worker, very big on family. I think my dad's one of 12 or 13, so a huge family. Mum's like one of 6 or 7. There's hundreds of cousins, so always very big on family orientated, hardworking background, and I've always been business minded. Essentially, I've always been in business, wanted to be in business, have always been entrepreneurial. So the story is, I believe that my dad got the golden ticket, I guess, essentially. Somehow he got the visa to Australia, and that made him like King Dingaling, basically, when he went back to Mauritius. And he always had his eye on my mum, I believe. So he moved to Australia, didn't speak any English, worked crazy amounts, did anything. He was a cleaner, and then went back to Mauritius like a year later and basically just went up to my mum and said, "You're going to come back to Australia with me." And because obviously I think my mum's parents wanted, to get an opportunity to live in Australia is a big deal. So I think my mum, didn't necessarily know my dad that well, but just packed her bags and moved to Melbourne and migrated over here. And I think they were married for 50 years.
What's like a small tradition in your family that's still carried over till today?
I think we're still trying, because we're such a new family, I think we're still trying to navigate that, to be honest.
Yeah.
We have a lot of things that we always do, like weekends we typically always spend together, we always go for walks together, we eat out a lot together. We always typically have like a Sunday night dinner together.
Yeah.
I think pretty early on, because I remember there was a stage that when I first started doing business, when not necessarily first started doing business, but when I became fully self-employed and was doing business full time, most of the people were at that age getting engaged, getting married and buying houses. And I was just not interested in that at all. So I guess through that sort of 25 to 35 age bracket, I was always doing very different things to everyone else. I was just purely concentrating on building a business, where I think a lot of people were studying, went to university, I had no interest in studying. A lot of people went and bought properties, I had no interest in buying properties. So I kind of knew that. And really at that age and that time, I didn't really have any friends doing business. It was really only me. So it was pretty evident then that I was pretty different.
So since it looks like you've been in business in a while, so what's like a personal rule that you refuse to break, like in everyday basis?
Now?
Yeah.
A personal rule that I refuse to break now is that nothing will come ahead of my lifestyle, and if it means that I can't pick up my kids every day from school, then it's not something I want to be involved in. And I suppose going through this MJ brand, it wasn't about just trying to get heaps of traffic to my website, because I'm very specific about who I work with. And I don't really want that heavy traffic, because again, that will break my rule of breaking lifestyle, having to deal with lots of people. I'd rather have one client than 10 clients. because
Yeah,
I don't ever want to be in a position where I'm answering to 10 people.
about
I
that.
think, some of my opinions can be quite polarizing, and I'm very strong. Particularly on working 9 to 5,
Yep.
particularly on buying property, how to build wealth, university. I think I've got polarizing views on. I think I don't necessarily believe in the education system. I don't necessarily believe in investing in property long term. And I think in terms of the truth, I think that can all be probably misunderstood, that maybe I think I know everything. I certainly don't. And I think I've said many times before that it's purely my opinion on how I do things. I don't necessarily think there's a wrong and the right, but I think that can be misunderstood for potentially me being arrogant, and that's it. But I guess I'm just trying to give people perhaps a different way of thinking. So my main thing is, whilst you're building that wealth, that you're enjoying your life and you're not missing out on your kids. My dad, like I mentioned earlier, worked 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. I never saw my dad. So I guess I'm learning from, he took a risk moving here, that I'm learning from that. But then when he was here, he had to grind that hard just to make ends meet for all of us. And I'm just trying to navigate my way around that, because I want to spend more time with my family. Oh my God. Don't film that. Still all right. All right.
Why do you need to rebrand?
Well, I think if you look at any big brand, even McDonald's, Hungry Jack's, Cotton On, any of the big brands, they're constantly revisiting their brand, and I think it's just to stay present. I think if I even look at Snap Fitness, during COVID, they decided to rebrand, and the difference that's made to the brand has been significant, with crazy growth following the rebrand in like 21, 22. I've just seen the growth in that. So the MJ business needed a rebrand, basically to go from the old to the new. A lot's happened in sort of the 5 years since we've started the MJ group, so it just needed a rebrand to bring it up to date.
All right.
I'm not sure it will support my lifestyle. I think that essentially I've already created a sort of lifestyle in terms of work-life balance. I think if anything, it'll just continue what I've sort of created, but essentially it'll help others perhaps live the same way if they see value in that. But I've been very careful to make sure to map it out so it doesn't actually affect my current lifestyle. I don't necessarily want to be working 8 hours a day. Family's first, brother. That'll never get affected.
But what about, how do you think you're going to manage opening a new gym, building 3 new ones,
Yeah, well, I think
having a consulting business?
I think as I grow, so will MJ Business grow. So I'm typically very good at delegating.
You think you need an EA?
Yeah, and I'll definitely have an EA, and I'll also potentially hire someone as like a growth specialist. So I've got someone to personally assist me, and I've also got someone to ensure that the gyms see success. So I think that's where lifestyle won't get affected, because the business will grow as it grows, if it makes sense. There'll be more support. But that's a good question. I think 3 to 5 years is really me consolidating my debt. I've been leveraging off my businesses for the last 15 years. So I think in about 4 years' time, a lot of my debt drops off, which probably relates to 20K a month of debt. So it will put me in a very positive cash flow position. And I think at that stage, I've been sacrificing so much of my own personal needs for so long now. In regards to like buying a house, anything, personal toys, you know, I'd like to buy a sports car. I've never really spent any money on a car, and build a lease or dream home. So my 5-year plan is to pay off debt, and which will happen automatically. And then essentially, yeah, take some money off the table, build our dream home in the country somewhere. Elise will hopefully come into the business as HR and assist me that way, and spend more time with the kids. And I think, yeah, just start transitioning towards sort of enjoying the fruits of my labour that I've been doing for the last 20 years and sacrificing, and really enjoy all the teenage years of my kids so I don't miss out on anything.
Tell us where we're at right now.
We are in the Yuyangs,
The Yuyangs.
just off Little River. Just
Yep.
having a bit of a breather, taking in the view.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's where we come up actually. Look,
Yeah, that
up here and
Yeah.
up around.
That's not...
You know, people that I've been hanging out with, the boxing crew, just everyone in general that I've been hanging out with lately has really been pushing me to sort of, you know, I think, to be honest, my boxing coach Leo sort of put the idea in my head maybe a year ago, because I was sort of, every time we boxed, I'd tell him a bit more of my story, and he was kind of saying, man, you need to get your story out there. And that was kind of what started it, was probably Leo, to be honest, was probably the main thing. And then Leo too, again, was probably the one that introduced me to his sister-in-law and do the rebranding, and that's kind of, everyone has kind of really been pushing me to do that. But I think Leo, to be honest, was probably the biggest person. And then I spoke to my finance broker, Frank. I had a coffee with him, and he was kind of saying, pushing me on the investment part. So between Frank and Leo, I kind of got the idea. I think the first thing I do typically is I just write down all the really obvious things so we both can see. What's your business name? How much are you turning over? What are your expenses? How much money are you making? What are your living expenses? What's your unit cost for the price of something that you're selling or service? What's the goal that you want to get to? I think once you map it, like, it sounds like such a simple thing, but like 99% of business owners don't do that, and you can really map out a lot of things from that, because really business is just data. So you're writing down all the data, and then you're saying, okay, you know, what's it cost to get a cost to get a customer? How do you do that? And then multiplying it, essentially. Working with people just to map it out for them and keeping them accountable to do all those steps, really. We worked pretty closely with Biggie for the last few months. Gemma and Michaela have been amazing.
I think what was different about this job, he didn't come to us with just a business idea. He came to us with a real story. And that really resonated deeply with everyone in the team. Even though we all come from different backgrounds and different pathways, we could kind of all relate to that notion of grind or chasing some version of traditional success, and hitting burnout. I think that's we've all felt that at some point in our careers.
Leo mentioned that Gem and I would get along well, and we teed up a phone call, and I think it was meant to be a really quick phone call, but we just sort of were laughing and talking for like an hour and a half on the phone.
Yeah, this is a funny one. I think, often we hear clients come in and say they want to be brave, they want to do something different, they've got a big vision. And that was very true with Mike. I think our 30-minute call ended up being an hour and a half. And it was just one of those ones where I think, yeah, truly the braveness was automatically there with him. He's been doing this for a long time.
And they were really, I think it's important if you're going to work with someone to sort of be on the same sort of level. and the same sort of vision. It sort of would be very difficult to collaborate with someone that's not on the same wavelength as you. So we were instantly on the same wavelength, and we just clicked, and sort of, there didn't need to be too much going back and forth because we just got each other from the start. So it worked really well, really smooth, and I'm really happy with what we've sort of come up together and done.
He valued lifestyle, ambition, family, and partnership. They were the real foundations of this brand strategy.
I love this brand. I'm really stoked with it. I think some of the key attributes and focus points that we had visually in this was, something with grit, something with straight up, language is very straight up. It's real. It's aspiring to those. So it's positive and bold, but in a really positive way. It's kind of like a mashup of fashion meets consulting.
Totally. Yeah. So I guess where we've kind of finished with this job is we've focused on the brand strategy. Then we kind of dive straight into the brand identity. We've finished with the website, and we just cannot wait to see it all go live.
I know. Photo shoots, merchandise, all done.
Won't be long.
I think it's next week, actually.
Oh, so good. Can't wait.
I think everyone should just, I'd love it if people just jump on and give me feedback. Let me know what you think of the rebrands. Just let me know your thoughts on what I've been doing. I've been really appreciating all the support and encouragement. I think it's really cool. I'm just going to persist, but yeah, jump on the website and let me know what you think. Send me a message.
Yeah, guys.
All right.
That's finished.
Peace.
Peace out.
Oh.